Okay, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday to all. Great to have you with us here. Should be a fun day today, and it is Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. Before we get underway, the regulators require that we display the risk disclaimers associated with trading. You all know about those. You can find them under the NFA Compliance Rule 2-29C subparagraph 1. And basically it states that past performance not indicative of future results, and trade with money you can afford to lose. All right, let's start off today where we essentially left off yesterday with our morning briefing. This is the same chart we had up yesterday, and we had highlighted, of course, yesterday was a cycle day one, and the low was established early. We did get the rally up to the key zone that we outlined as well, up there near to the 50, 60, 70 area. And again, found resistance. And then just we got a pullback yesterday, closed near to the 75 41s. And then here in the overnight, we got a little bounce up, a test of it up to the 50s once again. So again, when we think about this, right, even coming in on from a Globex session, right, we have our high, and of course, when you come in this morning, we have a lower high. And then what you want to do, and again, this is something that I do every day. Again, I'm highlighting where those, key reference uh, intersession lows are and highs. So when I look at the overnight session, right? Again, I'm looking at this, and we took out, this low here, somewhere around to the 15s, 13s, 15s, which was one of our targets yesterday, if you recall. And then, of course, this is the cycle day one low over here, where I've highlighted. So here in the overnight, they tested that low, did get a reaction, but as you can see, that did not really last too long, created some sort of a bear flag condition. And then the second touch of the cycle day one low. So first touch, typically we get a reaction. And in fact, that's what happened there during the overnight. Subsequent tests are subject to failures. They don't always fail, but they're subject to them. Of course, here in the overnight, that in fact what happened. And as you can see here, all right, we're down here into the lows. And if you recall yesterday, again, I highlighted this 70, 90 area as a big defensive zone for the bulls. And the reason for that is that the market has been, for many tests over the past week or so, been responding from those levels. So it's at some point, one of the sides, one of the edges, one of those zones is bound to break. Perhaps the overnight, increase in tensions overseas are adding to that. Of course, we had some tech earnings, and we have, that came out yesterday, Google, Tesla, that could, again, have some influence. We're going to be, we're into this earnings season period. So whether or not this is just a kind of probe lower or not, for another new, buy the F and dip type opportunity is yet to be seen. But it appears, anyways, the way the market is reacting, at least early. And again, the ECB today, Lagarde is speaking. I mean, there's a lot going on, that could influence, price action. And again, pick and choose which one. I don't necessarily, highlight any particular event, but rather, the combination of everything kind of weighing on the market. I'm actually surprised, to be honest with you, that the market's held up this well this long. But again, we follow what the market is telling us, not what we think it should be doing, right? And that's how we thrive in this environment, right? Again, always staying on side of dominant force, seeing where prices, respond, where they're supported, where they're resisted, right? Where they fail. All those things kind of, go into the mix, right? All right, so here we are on a cycle day 2. Of course, we are below the cycle day 1 low. And so we'll see how this plays out. Typically, my favorite type of play regarding the cycle is this type of scenario that is unfolding today, which means prices have moved well below the cycle day 1 low into actually low areas, range areas. And again, this could present an opportunity. Again, not a suggestion. I can't here suggest any trades for anybody. Since I'm not your advisor, I'm just an educator and a trader. But that said, I like to look for weakness on a cycle day 2 and to play the odds for a 3-day cycle statistic, which currently is 93.18 or something like that, meaning that the price is back above the cycle day 1 low on cycle day 3 tomorrow. So we'll see. Stranger things that have happened. Markets have seemingly appeared to be collapsing in the past on a cycle day 2, and then lo and behold, it recovers the cycle day 1 low. Crazy as it seems, but we've seen those things in the past. Again, past performance, past occurrences have no direct bearing on what is happening today. All right, but we are at least aware of it, mindful of it, and it could be something that we could consider at some point throughout the session. But for the now, beginning the session, again, we have this weakness coming in. Now, what I've done here on our charts, this is our D-level money box zone, right? You'll see these green zones here right, and these yellow lines. So this is today's right up here. Okay, now today's zones have been violated, meaning traded through below. So they've been violated. So though they're still valid, should we get some sort of recovery play, but for now they're out of play. Okay. Now, previous days, what we also have historicals. So this is today's, and then you can see these green zones here, okay, etc., up to the upside and to the downside. So these are the historical ones. Now, I've been questioned many times about these, and question is, are they still valid? And the answer is yes, they are still valid. Much of what I like to do for these is use them as kind of extension areas, right? So again, you can see, for instance, today, is pushing down into these areas here. So, we could take, I would do something like this just to demonstrate. I would take starting here, and I would just put a larger rectangle to cover these 3 previous days. Okay, so that's still a pretty wide swath of range. Okay, between around the 55s down to the 35s or so. So you got about 20 handles in here. But the idea here is this still is what I would certainly consider an important zone for the market to find potentially some responsive buying buy the F and dip type of players. Okay. So we're going to be at least, be aware of that. But the point is, we want to be aware. We don't want to just be, I mean, we want to stay in alignment as always. And what's the lean coming into today? Certainly it's to the sell side. And again, we'll have to monitor how that plays out, but I would not be surprised in any way that somewhere within the zone, the market finally, finds some solid, buying response. Okay. We do have a projection low down here, as you can see, um, down to the 48s. Now, I've noticed on some of the postings out there that people have, they've, kind of this 74.50-ish area has seemingly been an important level for whatever reason. They're posting those things, but it's good to see what other folks are. In terms of Rich Handle Stats work, and he comes on Fridays. Okay, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 74.46, which pretty much matches up with this projection low here. 74.46 is a 2 sigma event on his work. Okay, so again, that is going to be perhaps, certainly a test here today. We're already at the 50s. All right, so that's the lay of the land coming in. I don't have an opening position at the moment. Did have a position earlier on a short coming in off the overnight, but that's it. That one's been closed. All right. Any questions, comments? Feel free to, as always, punch them out there. All right. So we'll see how this plays out for us today. All right. No predictions, just all preparation. Hopefully we don't need preparation H, but we are prepared. Right. And again, in these kind of downdrafts, don't be a hero. Just let the market, again, play your game, follow your strategy, follow your setups, etc. But don't try to, catch falling knives or anything like that. Uh, there's plenty of opportunity without catching the, it's always nice to, oh, I caught that low and we got a big reversal. That's a tough game to play. So just be cautious as always, and we'll get underway in just a moment or two. And again, feel free to, chime in on what you guys are looking at. That always helps the engagement and conversation. I have my particular view. Everybody else, has, their own view, and feel free to join in with that. Uh, Again, open conversation and viewpoints is very much welcome. All right. I did not get Manny's levels, so I have no idea what he's looking for today. He typically posts those, but he is in Tennessee. Yes. One of the things we can do with our D-level money box as we begin here is I can set this to uh, look for tomorrow's sessions, tomorrow's levels today. So that's another way we can utilize these. Again, that's dynamic. Those are dynamic levels, but that's something that we can use. Anyways, coming down into this 50, 47, 46 area. And again, that's that 2 sigma event that Rich Handelstats has on his sheet. So we're going to see how market responds in that area. And away we go. It does feel like a liquidation event. Uh, Hopefully I'm wrong, but it does certainly feel like a liquidation event unfolding. These are not just shorts. Short traders can certainly add to the momentum, but uh, this type of activity is clearly footprints of long selling, long liquidation. Okay, so how far that goes, we'll see. I don't have necessarily estimate. All right, thank you, Terry. Terry's posting up some levels that Manny sent out. All right, very nice. Thank you, Terry, for that input. So what's the one down is? You have something there, 45s? Yeah, so he has right here 45s. Okay, so mark that off. Again, that's one of Manny's levels. Manny has some pretty good levels, no question. So he has around 45s in here. All right, so if you're kind of following, Manny's outline, what he has, again, he has 45s in here. And again, that's also, again, all this matches up with what we have as well, right? The buy day, the projection here at 48s, and we got Rich handle stats 46s on a 2 sigma event. So even if you don't take a trade, right? Think about it, right? A lots of non-correlated levels from different angles. Market pays attention to a lot of that stuff. Yep, support first, resistance second. Absolutely. Oh, is it support first? Yeah, support at 45. No, oh, I see. I see. I'm reading them upside down there, Terry. I gotcha. Well, in any event, we have the 45s down here at the lows, and we again in our area of 2 sigma. So maybe this will be a more important low early on. We shall see. Yeah. All right. So again, these levels here, again, just make note of them, right? We were looking for some sort of response back in this area, and just note that we talked about that, and again, it's been as part of the analysis, right? Again, taking a probe there is certainly, a play, or if we want to look for a first pullback here following that move. All right, so maybe we get a dip back down and get an opportunity for a long play. Again, I'm going to stay flexible today on both sides. And again, I'm always flexible daily, but just to, one thing I like to do is I come in each morning during my, during the prep, and I kind of in my mind, I set my intentions, right? What am I setting out to do today? Yeah, make money, etc., etc. That's really in the background. But what's my intention? You know, set your intention, be specific. I'm looking to better myself in this area or in that area, right? Be specific. I know people talk about affirmations. I'm not an affirmation person. I'm an intention person. So set an intention, be specific, very specific, as a matter of fact, and then work on that throughout the day. If you've never tried it, try it and continue to try it. Okay. I think at this stage, at the moment, being flexible, I think we're going to just turn to the buy side. All right, lean for the time being, and partly the reason for that is again the way we kind of handle things is, again, we got that drill down here. I'm not looking to short it down into those areas. No way, no how. Right. Let the market, again, I've always suggested let the market show us what it wants to do first, right, and then we'll go along. So we do have a shift here, as you can see, all right, that occurred. So now we're on the buy side of, this swing anyways, right? So we're not running after it, right? Wait for it. Look where kind of identify where the shifts occurred. So roughly around the 60s there, plus or minus. All right, so we can outline some levels, frame out some levels so we can perhaps probe. All right, let the market give us its levels, and then we can use what the market is giving us. So right now, of course, call it the 50s, 45s, 50s, and roughly right now 75s, 80s, early. Okay. And we do have our ATAs enabled. So if we get using the ATAs the way we have them set up anyways, and again, it certainly assists us, with even the emotional aspect of trading, right? Helps us keep grounded. And may I be bold to outline the initial sandbox. So let me just post this. And I'm going to be somewhat loose about it. Okay, so the way I'm looking at it at the moment, it certainly will change. The initial sandbox, as what we call it, 74.75.50 up through 74.75.80. Again, that could certainly change, and I'm sure it will. But for now, and then the current lean will be long on the dips. Right? But stay flexible. Didn't really get a good pullback there. Jeepers, creepers. I was looking for a little bit of a pullback there, deeper than that, but market's going to do what it wants to do. Okay, so what's happening here is prices are coming back into this money box zone that we outlined earlier. Okay, on the left. So be mindful of could be some resistance here, but be mindful if it holds in this area, this could be a reclamation area for higher. But again, at this stage, be careful. Again, we're coming up to VWAP. Typically, VWAP should offer us a little bit of a stopping point here, coming off a deep low like that. So just bear that in mind if you're playing D-level money box reclamations. What I like about these type of breaks is that it opens up the playing field. Volatility increases there, right? Movement, swings, magnitude of the swings. So it provides us with some opportunity. Okay, 85 short for Manny's level. Great. So that's support turning resistance, right, Terry? Is that how that works for him? Okay, good. All right, well, that matches nicely with our 80 zone sandbox. Now, our A10 has struggled the past few days, clearly. Maybe today we get a little bit better response from it. We'll see. The A10 long is somewhere around the 66s. All right, so keep a watchful eye there if that leads to some sort of a response. All right, here we are at the A10. Did trigger. Let's see if it works for us. So again, A10 long here. We'll see if this works. Come on, Seabiscuit. Not struggling. Yeah, no dice yet. No dice. That strategy this week continues to struggle. All right, we are getting that pullback here again. Again, look for the 60s. I mentioned the 60s earlier. Let's see if that's kind of where the market started accelerating from off the low. Again, if they want to reaccelerate it, that would be a good area. John snagged the BLT. Excellent, John. Right from 72.75. Very nice. I kind of figured you would. What John is talking about, everyone, again, is this discount signal. Typically, that's a long, right? Using it as a short. So a short sell on a break of that signal line there. Very nice, John. You also had some I mean, it was really nice because you had negative bid-ask volume ratio, of course, momentum there as well. All right, so that was a nice trade. That's John's favorite trade. The Chilean connection. You know, it's interesting about doing things like that, right? Just kind of thinking about it. You can actually just simply place a bracket order, right? Most of our trades, anyways, are bracket orders, right? A buy stop, right, and a sell stop. You just put a bracket order, so whichever one triggers, you know. Or, but if you're leaning one direction, you just still place a bracket order, and then just let it trigger you in. Very nice. Terry, did you catch that short? Did you short them there from the 85s? That was a good area. Again, I had the 80s. Okay, super. Right. Very nice. All right, here are those 60s. Let's see if there's some sort of a response here. Again, I don't have a core trade at the moment, just outlining the price points. All right, so the upper edge of our sandbox, 74, 75, 80, is valid. Since we did get a reversal off of that. So that remains the valid zone. That remains the valid zone for the bulls now to reclaim. All right, so the bears are going to use that heavy duty. Yeah. All right, they're getting a little bit of response off the 60s. Again, simply the reason why I selected that area is this is where it changed direction right there. Okay, where that star is. So you just carry that forward. I mean, reading price sometimes is not that difficult in that we're looking for what I like to look for the where the thing where price changes. Okay, and you can clearly see right around the 60s that's where price changed from down to up. So then you get a retest, right? Call that the breakout if you want. All right, but you typically get a retest. So again, whatever I'm saying, if you want to, certainly it's not advice. None of this is just financial advice, trading advice. But if you do follow, my commentaries and direction, again, even just identifying areas, you could just probe something in there and see what happens with it. I think I'm pretty good with identifying levels actively, but that's how I do that. I mean, it's just basically where did price change, and then price typically will come back to that area, and then you're looking for, you know, again, the requisite response from that first response. So you get the secondary response. So now we have somewhat of a range kind of being built here, right? Our sandbox, I think, outlined pretty well: 45.50, 75.80. We'll keep that as the valid sandbox here at the first 30-minute mark. Now, keep in mind, we got 30 minutes. We got the Delphine trade. All right, Delphine's with us today. We have the Delphine trade, which is our uh, call it 10:05, 10:10 trade, potential reversal. We'll see if that plays out. Played out beautifully yesterday. We'll see if we get some sort of similar reaction to that today. And again, if you're in any of these trades, just, it's a trade, right? We're not going home. We're not bringing them home to mama, right? Speed dating. Love them or leave them, right? John says he has the 10:05 alarm on his cell phone for Delphine's trade. There you go. All right, very good. Okay, very good. All right, let's see what happens here. All right, potential retest of the lows here on deck. I get a high volume node right there at 52, 53s. Just at this point, just trying to find markers, right? Just trying to find levels and markers that we can use to kind of hope, lay a hat on a little bit. I just got Manny's email on the blueprint. A little tardy, but All right, so again, that 53, the line, it's just I'm marking that off just as a high volume node, as a quick reference. Get another high volume node up at 73 or 76 rather. So yeah, 76. So mark kind of that. All this does for me, it helps frame out. You can see above 76, the volume kind of drifted lower. Same thing below those 53s, very little volume relative. So it's kind of just trying to tighten up the sandbox a little bit. All right, just tighten up the sandbox a little bit. So Delphine says when we have no reaction between 10:08 and 10:12, all right, we wait for the next window, which is 10:35:45, for the twist and turn. All right, thanks. Yeah, we also have 10:35:45 on our sheets, on our time sheets. All right, so first 30 minutes is out of the way, and we're going to see if Delphine's zone works here for us today. Don't worry, Delphine, no pressure on you. All right, so just hanging out right here. It's in the middle here of this zone. Swings are calming down. Get a lot of two-sided trade now unfolding. All right, so the markers that I put out there, 53s, 73s, again, those are kind of 77s or 76s. Those will be um, kind of our references for uh, price to shift higher or lower. Again, as you can see, it's pretty boxy in terms of volume here, very heavy two-sided action here. So they found a place where both the bulls and bears can play. Yeah, we're all watching. Here we go. 10:08. So the reaction, what we're looking for would be the one up to the upside, right? Or a reaction. Does it matter? Usually reversal, so might not be as robust today. Yesterday was great because it was up at the upper edge. Today maybe not as crisp. Today could retest the low. Yeah, I do think there's high potential to retest the 45s again. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe even dip down below that. They like to do that, you know. Yeah, I'm still favoring the kind of long liquidation theme, right? Maybe not the whole day, but certainly the morning session here just really senses a bit more of the long liquidation. Of course, it's going to find areas where buyers will step in, but I mean, the initial downdraft, those, like I said, those were not short sellers. Some of them I would call us jump on board, but yeah, that's a long liquidation break. Yeah. So this is what we do. All right. This is how what we like to do. If I could do it on this chart. What we like to do is we use our dynamic D-level money box tool. Okay, here. So basically, what I'm doing here is I'm just measuring Oh, that doesn't work anymore. I'm measuring from the low to the high, and then these are the extension boxes. Let me outline them. So this will be the extension boxes we're looking for, right? For a look below and fail. We call that a peekaboo, PKB. Okay, so those are the areas, zones we'd be looking for a buy response below the lows. So if you like playing the look below and fails or PKBs, aka PKBs, those are the ones, and that's a dynamic one because we're measuring it out now. All right, so just hanging out in this area for the time being. And again, we do have the A10 up above around 76. That kind of matches closely to our upper edge there, right? So we'll see if that offers if we get a bounce up to the 76 area, 75 for a short, kind of keep it within these parameters here. Yeah, we're in the lower quartile of the sandbox. Again, that sandbox is flexible, right? I mean, it's just a rough outline. They're not lines in the sand, hard lines in the sand, but they're just references. So yeah, we're at the lower edge. So now in the middle here of this, zone, uh, we typically don't have a good edge, trade edge. I mean, we're still monitoring it in terms of, uh, looking for one, but right now we still have this downward lean, and that hasn't changed. So we can still sell, what we call premiums, right? Above the 89s here, pops. So looking for a pop and then a drop. So that's kind of the core lean right now. Core lean is to sell the pops. Sell the pops, buy the drops. Yeah, Brent oil is at $100, or hits $100 anyways. West Texas here at 91. So clearly the escalation. Yeah, it looks like we may need to wait for the next time zone to see if there's any core reaction. And this is pretty muddied down here. Yeah, knife fight in the phone booth. Yeah, when you get to these tight areas here. All right, so I'm just in what we refer to as the observation mode. Just watching here. I don't have an active trade on at this stage. So we're just going to be patient and see. Again, I'm kind of planning out potentially a peekaboo long on a dip, right? I.e. the look below and fail type of trade. Planning out that if it unfolds, right? Also to the upside, if the upside moves up first bit, looking for an A10 short. That's the upper edge of the sandbox. That's kind of what I'm looking for right now. Just planning out potential trade opportunities. Right in the middle here, we don't have anything. Anybody Super Mario scalpers in here? This is the type of action, if you're more of a scalper, fast type of scalper, um, to play these tight ranges. Again, that low is down to the 45s. Again, I'm pretty confident we're going to get a test there. The bulls are not really reversing anything, and the sellers keep reloading. We do have the initial balance, first hourly high-low on deck. And again, that leads us into the 10:35, 45 window. Take a look at the 5-minute chart, just noticing lots of wicks on the 5-minute over here. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right. And this really kind of leads me to say, that the sellers continue to reload. All right. Look at all the wicks in here. Everybody see the wicks? Wickety wicks. They're wickety wicks. All right. So every time the buyer is trying to pop it up, sellers just kind of play whack-a-mole and smash it right back down. So the bulls are going to have to overcome, those wicks at some point if they have any chance they want to move it higher. Well, yeah, in regards to the Dom image yesterday that I posted, that was right into the earnings, of Google or Tesla, whichever came out first. I think it was Google. And yeah, everybody just pulls, their bids, their offerings. But even still, if you take a look, here's the Dom, here's my Dom, right? But even still, look at how I mean, I remember the days, and some of you may as well. I remember the days where the inside bid, the depth was four deep, four 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 prices deep. In other words, for width, 1,000, 2,000, right? Now you're getting 13, 25, you know, and then when the earnings comes up or something happens, it goes down to single digits. So we only have two digits. But I remember when there was four digits, and the market would just like, I mean, it would be so thick trading. Then it went to kind of three-ish, right? Now it's down to two, and then even at one when crazy things happen, right? So the liquidity, you know, uh, remember, the DOMs here, these are only indications, of, I mean, they're orders, but they're not trades. So these things change, rapidly. So I don't really pay attention. I mean, I have it on the screen over here because I do use the DOM, but I don't really pay attention to the sizes on there because they're fugazi, right? They're worthless, to take a look at, to try to, oh, let's see what the depth of market is and what's the, oh, there's a big buyer, there's a big seller at a particular level. They can be gone in a nanosecond. Okay, so I don't really pay attention to them. All right, well, we have our initial balance, first hourly high low now in place. All right, let me just this is all right. So the initial balance high low is in place, and the initial balance here is 45s through 86s. But again, I still think the market is, still in liquidation, long liquidation mode, and this is perhaps just a temporary area for, prices to consolidate a bit. All right. And again, the core, after the first 30 minutes, the core is the bulls need to recapture at minimum, right, 65s at minimum. So until then, the pressure is on. All right. Well, right now, again, just as a review, I don't have a dog in the fight at the moment, so we're just gonna. I'm still in the patient mode at this stage. All right, we got a big defensive move here by the Bulls, huh? They don't want it below those 45s. Kick save. Yeah, hold on a second, Steve. Kick save. All right, we still have a zone up around the, between 70, 75s up there. All right, and if they try to make an attempt to move higher, let's see if there's a failure up in those areas. And I don't think it's ready to break out, certainly, but again, they've been wicking that every time they get up into that area. But we'll see this time. Trying to make an attempt there. The Russell is strong. Really? You would think that as rates move higher, the small caps get hammered. All right, guys, I'll be passing the baton over to Bo at 11 a.m. I have a meeting scheduled, so I'll pass that baton over to him at 11. He's gonna jump on with you for about an hour or so. So stick around, stay tuned. I know many of you like Bo's relaxing analysis. He does a very good job, so stick around. All right, let's see if we punch through those lows. Are they still? How many shots on goal can they have for the continued kick saves? Look at that, right up to the 65s, as I mentioned. Again, the Bulls, that's what I'm saying. The Bulls, at minimum, have to get up through 65s. And right up there in whack-a-mole. AR7 is 63.50. Okay, cool. Yeah, that matches. All right, they keep testing this 45. Let's see if they break that lower. All right, there they go. They're pushing it down. Again, still looking for this area if possible. If we get down in these areas. Now, of course, to play one of the ways to play this is on a reclaim, right? Wait for a pivot to be put in, and then a reclaim. A lot of folks like doing that. Let the market push lower, clear out stops, right, and then play the reclaim. Yeah, reclaim right side pivot rule. Sure. I can extend this out a little bit. When we get into inflection areas, I like to look at the. I do like to look at the order flow. I don't look at it all day, but when we get into certain areas, I do like to look at the order flow.